Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I don't know how much of this is going to be shown before I reveal what we're doing today. Uh, as I alluded to in my last Pokemon video, well, I guess that would be the last video anyhow. I, have been, might not be, we'll see. We'll see what I get done today. Anyways, tandem aside, I, uh, obviously I've been watching a lot of YouTube. Like, I think it's very important if you want to get better at something to watch other people do it. Also, sometimes can be really entertaining to see how other people do things. Uh, so I've been watching a lot of videos, and there's a content creator that I have found that I really enjoy. His name is Chef Husky, and he does Team Rocket content. Well, he actually does Rogue content too, but I found him through all of his Team Rocket decks profiles and stuff. And I think he's very knowledgeable on the subject of Team Rocket. He clearly has played a lot of Team Rocket, but I also found it interesting that recently, in the last couple of months, he went through and he ranked his entire deck from top to bottom. Every single card got ranked. And I decided it might be healthy enough to do the same here with Raging Bull. So I went to the same website as him, and I put down every freaking card in the deck that's in there. Now, Night, you'll say, I noticed there's 71 cards in this list. I can explain. So one of the things Chef Husky did, was he also put in some cards he was thinking about adding to the deck, or things that he kind of taken out of the deck. And I have done the same here. I tried to stick to 10, but it's actually turned into 11, and I'll explain why in a second. But I have made 11 additions to this list to rank against everything. So, the first edition is a second energy. A second energy switch in particular. I found energy switch to be very useful in the deck when you are at the end of the game and you need to set up a Raging Bolt, but you don't have Crispin in hand, and you have no way to get Crispin because you're bench locked, so you can't use Meowth, or Meowth maybe has already been used or something like that. The energy switch has been very helpful, so I kind of want to see how a second energy switch would rank. The next card I put in here was a Pokemon catcher. Oh, there's actually another one there, but there's Pokemon catcher. One of the things I found is that it's sometimes really hard to set up like a chasing KO if you have to use Crispin to set up Raging Bolt or another Pokemon, and then also have to try to boss. You can't do that, obviously, because you can't use two supporters in a single turn. So I wanted to try to experiment with the different types of catching cards. So Pokemon Catcher's in here. I also put in Prime Catcher because I wanted to see if maybe the experiment of changing my ace spec might be a thing. There's been a couple ace specs I've considered. One of them was actually suggested to me, and we'll maybe see that in a future video. But I have a couple different ace specs in here, so obviously if they all make the list in the rank, then I have to kind of cut them off the list. But we'll see which one I prioritize higher. Our next card should be up here, is Judge. And if you watched my recent video, you know how I'd been considering trying to put a Judge in the deck. So this is me trying to figure out where it would be better to put in the deck. I did get a suggestion that I will try out. Well, I'm talking about it now. If you have any suggestions for either my Venusaur deck list or my Raging Bolt deck list, throw them in the comments below here or in their respective deck videos, because I'm thinking about doing a video where I try all your suggestions. So the Wilder, go for it. I'll take it on. It might be a really fun video to make. So throw them in the comments below, and I'll try them out in the deck list. So someone had suggested replacing all the lilies for Judge. I will try that in that video, but I did want to see if I can just put one Judge in this deck list right now and see if maybe there's a place I could fit and cut something else. So that's why I have the Judge here. On the same token, I also have red card in here. Same premise, trying to see if I can put some more hand disruption in the deck to deal with Alakazam, because Alakazam's very plentiful over here in my area. So at least there's a couple of people I know who will always bring Alakazam to an event. It's an easy deck to build. It's fun to play. Who doesn't want to have a bunch of cards in hand? So again, trying out red cards, see maybe that might help. This shouldn't come as any surprise to anyone. I did put Stunfisk in here because I go back and forth between Ethan's Pichu and Stunfisk. So I only put a 1 of in here. I don't know if I'd go to 2 or 1, but I kind of wanted to see where it matched up in comparison to the other cards in the deck. Maybe I decide that that's a really, really important card to put in deck, and then I have to take something out. I put in, let me go up here, a 3rd energy retrieval, because energy retrieval is very important in this deck. You know, I wanted to see if maybe upping my energy retrieval is not a bad idea. We'll see. It's kind of more the tentative one that I put in here because I was just like, screw it, let's try it. But, you know, we'll see. You might have saw it already, but I put in 2 Canaries in this deck. This deck list could probably, in theory, run Canary and actually probably help it set up very well in the early game. I've used it with my Pikachu deck. It was really good, so tempted to try it here and see how it works. But yeah, so there's Canary. I put in a handheld fan, if I can find it. It's somewhere in here. I put in handheld fan as a tool, see if it might help with the Dragapult matchup. So let's see if maybe it stacks up to the other cards, and then if it stacks up really well against the other cards, then I might just choose to put it in there for the Dragapult matchup. And finally, I also put in a different A-spec in here, Hero's Cape. The reason being, when it is hard to take down Raging Bolt in a single turn, I can do a lot of damage to my opponent. So Raging Bolt has 240 HP, which is great. However, most things in format can kill it pretty easily or bring it pretty close. And I found the matchups that I do very well in, like last night I was playing against a Metal Box deck, like a Stevens Metagross deck. Because they can't swing above 200 for their attack, I was able to take out 2 of its attackers before, 2 prizers before they were able to take out the 1. And it just led to a very easy early game matchup. On the flip side, too, Hero's Cape might help with keeping my Kilowattrels alive if I'm going against Dragapult, or keeping a Belly Bolt alive for longer to do more damage. So I've considered putting an A-spec Hero's Cape over Maxerod. I have a hard time justifying taking out Maxerod, but maybe this rankings will help. That was the last minute addition. I was trying to figure out whether I wanted to put in Prime Catcher or Hero's Cape, because I wanted to put in another A-spec, and then I just decided, screw it, we'll put in all 3 and see how they match up together. Alright. So with that, the list has been saved, and I'm gonna do this ranking live. So feel free to put this on in the background. It's probably gonna be not as entertaining as some of my other stuff, but we'll see. So, alright, let's rank them all. We're about to rank 71 items. This will take an estimated 242 comparisons. Hell yeah, let's go. Alright. Full disclosure, I am doing this at 1:30 in the morning. I intended to do recordings all night long today, and that didn't happen. So, or all day today. Ooh. Alright. The first comparison, Buddy Buddy Poffin, The second copy of Buddy Buddy Poffin versus Max Rod. I think I'm gonna do Max Rod. Buddy Buddy Poffin versus Energy Switch 2. I think I'd rather have the Buddy Buddy Poffin. Lily's Determination versus Fez. Lily. I make that choice every day. The thing is like when you have Fez in hand, you have Lily in hand, sometimes you want to bench it early. And I just make that choice every day. Choose the Lily first. Don't worry about anything else. I think I'd rather have the Crispin here in this hand. Over the Lightning Energy, because Crispin can also get me Lightning Energy. So, yeah, we'll go with the Crispin. Pokemon Catcher versus Lightning Energy. I think I'd rather have the Lightning Energy here for... Because if I'm looking at the hand, right... Yeah, this is my hand of 2. I've been unfair stamped down to a hand of 2. Which is a good hand overall. I think I'd rather have the Lightning Energy to place on Iono's Belly Bolt or Raging Bolt or Kilowattrel to get me more cards versus the Pokemon Catcher that might be able to get me a kill. Which, I guess, how you balance that might be better, but I can Lightning Energy just to get more cards. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Lightning Energy. Lily over Fighting Energy. That one's tough too. I think I'd rather have the Fighting Energy. Crispin versus Boss. Crispin every single time to power up Raging Bolt, powering up Ariono. Just get more lightning cards in my hand. Yeah, Crispin over Boss. Ethan's Pichu versus Lightning Energy. I think we're going to go Ethan's Pichu here, because I'd rather start with it. I'd rather get the card draw, which might give me another energy. It doesn't cost me energy to attack, so I'm already doing 30 to kill Badoo. Lightning gets me draw. It gets me damage. It gets me more damage. I think I'd rather go with Ethan's Pichu. Pokepad versus Energy Retrieval. I'd rather go with the Energy Retrieval. Iono's Tadbolt versus Iono's Bellybolt. Well, we'd rather have the Tadbolt over the Bellybolt because we need it as a starter. Pokepad versus Ethan's Pichu. I think I'd rather have the Pokepad so I can get the Ethan's Pichu. So I'd rather have the Pokepad here. Bellybolt versus Night Stretcher. I'd rather have the Bellybolt over the Night Stretcher. Energy Retrieval over Bellybolt. The third Bellybolt too. I think I'd rather have the Energy Retrieval than the Bellybolt 3. The third Bellybolt in a game usually ends up in the discard pile, so I'd rather have the Energy Retrieval. Raging Bolt over Ultra Ball. Raging Bolt's our main attacker. I mean, Ultra Ball's great, but that's Ultra Ball 4. That's the 4th Ultra Ball. Raging Bolt, I'd rather take Raging Bolt there. The third Iono's Tadbolt over Max Rod. I'd rather have Max Rod. The third Iono's Tadbolt over Buddy Buddy Poffin. I'd rather take Buddy Buddy Poffin. Okay. Buddy Buddy Poffin 4 versus Meowth EX. This one usually ends up in the discard pile. I think I'd rather have the Meowth here for Lily or Crispin or Boss. Because if I'm seeing a 4th Buddy Poffin in this game, then at that point I'm probably looking for a supporter. So I think I'll take Meowth. Wattrel 2 versus Kilowattrel 1. Let's say if this is the second one in the game, then I already have one on the board, and I'd rather probably have my first Kilowattrel on the board, so I'll take Kilowattrel 1. Still Raging Bolt over Ultra Ball, I think. Yeah. The Ultra Ball would get me the Raging Bolt. It can get me a Fez. It can get me a Meowth. It can get me a Bellybolt. You know what? And it might be controversial, but I'm going to go Ultra Ball 1. Buddy Poffin versus Ultra Ball 3. I'd rather have a Buddy Poffin all day long. Energy Switch 2 versus Ultra Ball 3. I think I'd rather take the Ultra Ball here, because I think I would use the Switch 2, Energy Switch 2 as a fodder if I don't need it. That probably says a lot about the second energy switch in the deck. Night Stretcher 1 versus Polka Pad 1. Polka Pads allow me to get all set up. And I'd rather take the setup here. Night Searchers get me something late game. But I think I'd rather get set up and then dump it. Night Searchers are very valuable, though. I think my heart says go with the Polka Pad. Ultra Ball 2 versus Kilowattrel 2. I think at this point, I'd rather have Ultra Ball. Wattrel 1 versus Telbad 2. Wattrel 1. Alright, Lily's Determination over Levincia. Let's just assume this is, like, very early in the game, because they're the first cards. I mean, that doesn't mean anything, per se. I'd rather have a Levincia to return cards to hand, but, like, Lily is just too important in the early game. Like, if I don't see a Lily right away, I feel like my game gets bricked. Which is why getting 4 judges in that deck will be very interesting if I take them out over the Lilies. However, if I don't see a Levincia during a game, it sucks, but Retrieval and Max Rod usually get the job done. I think I'm gonna go with Lily. Oh, Levincia any day. Sorry, I've fezzed 4 Levincias. Yeah, that's I do think Buddy Buddy Puffin's really important. Energy Switch is really important. I'd rather have the Buddy Puffin just set up cards in the early game and then use the Energy Switch in the late game. So I think that's where I'm going to go with. Canary versus Levincia. This is usually my stadium pump with getting energy back, which is really important. And again, it allows me to control the Stadium Wars. This is a setup card. I think I'm gonna go with Offensia. Lightning Energy 3 versus Fighting Energy 2. Fighting Energy is just a little more important than Lightning Energy. Crispin versus Lightning Energy. Crispin. Lightning Energy 8 versus Lightning Energy 4. Well, this is the higher number, so we're taking the higher number. Boss's Orders over Fighting Energy. I think I'd rather have the Fighting Energy. Well, this is the third one. I need it for the deck, but I think here Boss might be better. Because Boss allows us to snipe here. And assuming we're getting to a third energy, that's kind of, we're kind of getting to the rough territory. I think Boss might be the better option. Because you can snipe out Meowth, assuming, like, Belly Bolt's all set up. You know? So I think the Boss is the better play there. Lightning Energy over Air Balloon. I think I'd rather take the Lightning Energy. Air Balloon is really great, and I like seeing them in games. Especially because it allows me to make the Belly Bolt a pivot Pokemon or Kilowattrel a pivot Pokemon, so I can promote them, see how I can get set up, and then choose my attacker appropriately. Lightning Energy obviously allows me to set up my Pokemon, which makes it very important. So I think, and obviously it feeds Raging Bolt because he is a hungry, hungry boy. So I think Lightning Energy is actually the appropriate play here. Canary versus Lily's Determination. I think I'd rather have Lily over Canary. Lightning Energy 1 versus Lightning Energy 10. We're going with Lightning Energy 1. Pokemon Catcher versus Lightning Energy 10. I think I would like the guarantee kill. This is not a guarantee kill, but this is. How I justify that being a guaranteed kill, I should probably state that for the record, is like, if I'm staring something in the face, like a Dragapult, and I've got a Pokemon catcher that might be able to get me a Fez to kill, or I just need one more energy to kill that Dragapult, I'm not taking the roll. I'm not taking the coin flip. I hate coin flips, and it's the only reason why I don't use Pokemon catcher more. So that's why I'll go with the energy any day of the week. Red card versus Lightning Energy 9. I think at this point I'd rather take the red card. Hand Disruption is really good, and I kind of wish I used it more. And I think having a red card is really important in this deck. Because eventually your opponent is going to, you know, kill some stuff. So red card I think is the choice here. Lightning Energy 2 versus Hero's Cape. Oh, this is tough. I think I'd rather have more energies for attacks. I think that leans more into my aggressive style. The Hero's Cape is good because it allows for more health, which means more attacking. But what's good without the health if I don't have the energy, which is really important. So I think I'm going to go with the energy here. Judge over Energy Retrieval 3. I think Judge is the better play. I get to see more cards. I get to disrupt my opponent's hand. I can set it up where I can put a Lightning Energy on Kilowattrel, judge my opponent for hand disruption, and then Kilowattrel away a Lightning to get more cards to fill back up my hand with 2 more cards or how many more cards. So I think that's what I'd rather play here is the judge. Fighting over Lily, I think at that point I'd rather see the fighting. I'm going to go with the Lily 3 here. Lightning versus Air Balloon 2. I think at this point, if I'm seeing 6 Lightning energies, I think I'd rather have the balloon. Even though this is my second balloon, I think I'd rather have a balloon because the first balloon's probably gone from play. So I think I'll take the balloon here. Handheld Van versus Prime Catcher. Oh god, this is the matchup of the century. I think I would rather take Prime Catcher. Handheld Fan is good. It's disruptive. However, its situation is niche. Prime Catcher allows me to pivot out Pokemon I need to if Balloon's not available. And it will guarantee do the job I need it to do. Versus Handheld Fan, it's probably going to do the job I need it to do. But someone could always boss around that Pokemon. So I think, yeah, Prime Catcher's the play. Crispin over Stunfisk. Crispin any day. That was always an easy choice. Every time I saw it, it was like, Crispin over Team Rocket's Patrol. I think I'd rather have the Crispin here. It's my first Crispin. I'm assuming it's like the first person of the game. And I'd rather set up my Raging Bolt as fast as possible. So the more Crispins in the deck, honestly, the better. Team Rocket's Patrol is situational. It allows me to get the Max Rod, Lavincia, Energy Switch, all the tools I need for late game. It's a late game player versus Crispin. So I think Crispin is the play here. Patrol over Boss's Orders. I think I'd rather... that's tough. Boss allows me to pivot around Pokemon that are a problem. And after a late game kill, or a kill on Dragapult, for instance, I've lost a lot of energy. Boss will allow me to pick another Pokemon. However, Team Rocket's Patrol allows me to handpick the card that might get me back into a game. It's more versatility, than Boss's Orders. So I think that's it. Patrol's it. Alright. Energy Retrieval or Ethan's Pichu. I think I'd rather take the Ethan's Pichu. I'm so high up on this card. Like, it's a problem. It really opens up the game really early on for you, and I like seeing it in my hand right away. So yeah, we're gonna go with the Ethan's Pichu here. Energy retrieval over the lightning energy. I think I'll take the energy retrieval. Pokepad over lightning energy. I'd rather take a lightning energy over a Pokepad. All I can think about is late game, or like during the game when I see a Pokepad and I'm looking for a lightning energy. I'm like, ugh. Okay, so yeah, I think the lightning energy's it. Pokepad over Tadbulb. I think I'd rather take the Pokepad because then I can get the Tadbulb. Toadbulb over Pichu. The second Pichu, I'd rather take the first Tadbulb. That was easy. Ethan's Pichu over Bellybolt. Bellybolt, because it's so integral to the deck. Bellybolt over Energy Retrieval. Yeah, I think it is Bellybolt here over Energy Retrieval. Energy Retrieval over Night Stretcher. Oh yeah, Energy Retrieval any day of the week. I like Night Stretcher a lot, but Night Stretcher situations are extra energy recovery, so Energy Retrieval, then Night Stretcher for a third energy, or a fighting energy if I need to place one on, something like that, or to bring back a Raging Bolt or Belly Bolt or something like that I need. So that's Night Stretcher's uses. I think Energy Retrieval I get more excited to see an Energy Retrieval and it goes just farther. Night Stretcher over the third Belly Bolt. I'd rather take the Night Stretcher because then I can get something else. Max Rod over Raging Bolt. It has to be Raging Bolt every time. I see Raging Bolt Max Rod in hand. It's Raging Bolt I'm excited about, not the Max Rod. Max Rod over Ultra Ball 4. I think I take the Max Rod here. Ultra Ball, but this is Buddy Buddy Poffin. All the way. I actually at one point toyed in my deck list by cutting down an Ultra Ball. So I had 3 Ultra Ball and I was running like 4 Pokepad. So Ultra Balls are like hit or miss for me. At this point, I think this might be the turning point for Ultra Ball. Tadpole 3. I usually get 2 out, and then after that, I don't get any more out. When I'm digging for a third, it becomes a problem. The only reason I run 3 is so that if 2 get prized, I'm okay. Because I have played those games before. So we'll go with Ultra Ball here. Kilowattrel versus Meowth. I'd rather have the Kilowattrel. Wattrel 2 over Meowth. I think at this point, I might rather have the Meowth. 2 Wattrels in the deck are solid. I think a third is too much. And I found that having 2 of them on the bench might be too much of a hassle. They just kind of leave themselves open to fodder more than anything. So I think I'm taking Meowth here. Wattrel over Buddy Buddy Poffin 4. I think I'd rather take the second Wattrel because I can get more draw out of that. Poffin versus Ultra Ball. I think the first Ultra Ball makes sense. Poffin versus Raging Bolt. I'd rather have Raging Bolt here. Pokepad versus Ultra Ball 2. I think I'd rather take Pokepad here. I don't have to sacrifice anything, and the only thing that is bad about it is I can't get Raging Bolts or any of my EX Pokemon. But I'd rather go get my Kilowattrels and maybe Ethan's Pichu early game, or Tadbulb, or Wattrel. Yeah, I'd just rather get the early game Pokemon off of my cards, so I think Pokepad's it. Ultra Ball 2 versus Night Stretcher 1. I think I'd rather have the Ultra Ball. I could sacrifice something to bring it back with the Night Stretcher, but I think I normally will take the Ultra Ball here. Night Stretcher versus Kilowattrel. It's the second Kilowattrel. I think I'd rather I'd rather have the Night Stretcher here. Lily's Determination over Wattrel 1. I think I'd rather have the Wattrel because I can set up the Wattrel for a draw, and then, Lily can be used later. I just have a hard time thinking, like, if I had Lily in hand, would I play the Lily over the Wattrel? I'd put the Wattrel down first before I play the Lily. So, of course, I'm going to go with Wattrel here. Lily's Determination over Tadpole 2. I think I would play the Tadpole down, too. Because I'd rather have a second Tadpole down and then Lily than play the Lily first and then get the Tadpole. So I think that's the play here. Levincia over Buddy Buddy Poffin. I think I'm going to do the Buddy Buddy Poffin. Levincia versus Energy Switch. I'd rather have the Levincia. Energy Switch really is kind of a situational card, but Levincia gets used quite a bit. It has way more uses. Okay, this is a good one here. Energy Switch 1 versus Canary. Energy Switch is pivotal, but it only has situational uses. Canary is the supporter for turn, but allows me to get all the Pokemon I need right away, minus Raging Bull. It is the card that I've thought about the most. About adding to the deck the most. I think I'd rather go for the Energy Switch here. Because Energy Switch has won me way too many games to not take the first one, at least. Fighting Energy over Crispin. I'd rather take the Crispin here, so I can put the Fighting Energy on Raging Bolt. Fighting over Lightning, I'd take the Fighting here. Lightning over Lightning, I'd take the Lightning here. Lightning Energy over Boss's Orders 5. I'm playing the Lightning Energy first. Or Lightning Energy 5. But the Boss's Orders... At one point in the fight, in the game, I'm definitely going to need to boss at least something. Target down a Fez, or, you know, a Dracloak, or a Meowth, or something. So I think the Boss's Orders is the appropriate one here. Lightning over Fighting, I think I'm taking the Lightning here. Air Balloon over Fighting, I think I'm taking the Fighting. Lightning over Lily. I'd play the Lightning down before I'd play the Lily. So that's what I would do here. Lily, at this, I could take the Lily over the Lightning Energy. Lightning over Canary. Okay. Would I rather have more catch or more Pokemon setup? As much as I hate coin flips, I would rather be able to pivot myself in a better position in the game with a Pokemon catcher or like a bossing effect, a gusting effect over being able to draw out more cards in my deck. So I think catcher is the right card. Lightning Energy over red card. This is tough. I need a second. I need a water break. Water break. Don't forget to drink water, folks. Okay. Water break. Good. You drank water? I hope so. Or something. At this point, anything that doesn't dehydrate you is a good thing to drink. Anyways. Okay, back to the task at hand. Lightning versus red card. I think I'd rather take the Lightning. Clearly I've chosen energy cards over red card, but Hero's Cape over red card, I think I would rather take the red card. I'd rather do the hand disruption. Hand disruption always bites me in the goddamn ass, but I would rather take the disruption over putting more health on my Pokemon, because every time I do that, someone pivots around it. Hero's Cape over Lightning Energy, I think I'd rather take the Lightning Energy. Fighting over Judge. I would rather take the Fighting. It sucks, but I can Energy Switch off a Lightning onto Raging Bolt. Judge just disrupts, so I think I'd do that. This is actually probably a pretty good comparison here. I think I'd still rather have the third Lily. If this was Lily 4 and Judge, I would take the Judge. Hopefully that doesn't foreshadow something stupid I do, but I think I'd rather have 3 lilies in the deck at least, and a judge. Ha! There we go. Okay. Just foreshadows the next pick. I'm picking judge here. A 4th lilies is great. It almost guarantees that I will see a lily very early on in the game. However, I think I'd rather take the hand disruption, and I have found that judge has helped earlier in the game. I think I'd rather have the lily here than a 3rd energy retrieval. Well, alright, let's say this is the end game. Because that would be kind of where I'd be at here. If I'm seeing a 4th lilies and I'm seeing a 3rd energy retrieval. I have lost games due to my energy consumption. So I think I'd rather take the energy retrieval here. Prime Catcher versus Air Balloon. I'd rather take the bossing, the gust effect. I'd rather take the movement of Air Balloon. Handheld Fan versus Energy. Crispin 1 versus Crispin 3. We're taking Crispin 1. Crispin versus Petrel. I've made this choice several times too. I guess it depends on what I need, right? Crispin gets me the energy I need in order to rage with Raging Bolt. However, if it's late game and I'm using Crispin, which would be the assumption if I'm seeing my 3rd Crispin, I might need something more like a Max Rod or an Energy Switch, things like that, and I'd hope that I have those cards in hand. So I think I'd rather go with the Petrel here. Crispin over Boss. I've chosen 3rd Crispin over Boss any day. Boss over Stunfisk. Because Stunfisk really only gets set up if I have a gusting effect, so it has to be Boss. Ethan's Pichu and Pokepad. I just get really excited when I see Ethan's Pichu in my opening hand. Energy Retrieval over Pokepad 2. I think it's Pokepad 2 here. Tab Bolt 1 here. Belly Bolt 2 here. Ethan's Pichu? No, I'd rather have the Energy Retrieval at that point. Lightning. Pokepad 3 versus Pichu. Pokepad allows me to get Pichu. It allows me to get any other Pokemon, but by the time I'm getting a Pokemon at 3, I'm usually throwing it in the discard pile. Pichu allows me to have a Pivotmon and a Drawmon if I really get stuck. However, it's Dragapult fodder at best. And this is also kind of Dragapult fodder. Whatever comes out of this is probably Dragapult fodder. So I think Pichu. Raging Bolt versus Belly Bolt. That's difficult. Raging Bolt is the attacker. Belly Bolt is the setup. I've also used Belly Bolt as the attacker. Do I think one... I don't think Raging Bolt can exist without Belly Bolt. Flat out. I mean, obviously it can. It's lived in other decks, but I think in this deck scenario, if I can't get a Belly Bolt out, the game's over. So, Belly Bolt is the play here. Raging Bolt is the play here, though. I don't need to entertain this. I can entertain this one, though. This one is... rough. I have been in a scenario where it's like, do I want Max Rod or do I want Energy Retrieval? In the late game scenario, I found Max Rod is more important, especially when you're playing against Dragapult, which will literally take up all the energy you need for Max Rod. And Energy Retrieval will only get you 2. So I think Max Rod's the play here. Buddy Buddy Poffin or Energy Retrieval 2. I think I'd rather have a second Buddy Buddy Poffin in the deck. But I would rather have the second Retrieval over Ultra Ball. I'd also rather have the Night Stretcher over Ultra Ball. I'm okay with the 4th Ultra Ball over 3rd Belly Bolt, though. Because I'm usually sacrificing this guy in order to get Fez or Meowth or anything like that. So I think think that's the case. I'd rather have the Telebolt here over the third Belly Bolt, because if I didn't have the third Tadbolt, I can't play the third Belly Bolt. So that's the play here. Ultra Ball over Kilowattrel. I'd rather see my early... I would rather set up a Kilowattrel early game. And if I had two in hand, I'd play the Kilowattrel first over the Ultra Ball. So I think that's right. Ultra Ball over Meowth, because I can Ultra Ball for the Meowth here. That's when I'd want to play it. Raging Bolt over Meowth too. That's pretty easy. Buddy Poffin. I think the Meowth's okay here to take. Because Meowth gives me Lily, it gives me Crispin, it gives me something else. By this time, it's usually about fodder, so... A second Wattrel over Buddy Poffin. I think I'd rather take the Buddy Poffin to get the Wattrel. Ultra Ball over second Wattrel. I think I want to take the Ultra Ball here. Energy Switch over Wattrel. I think I'd rather have the Wattrel here at this point. This is kind of a useless card. This could also be kind of a useless card. You know what? I think I'd rather take the Energy Switch here. Wattrel 1 over Pokepad. I want a Wattrel starting hand. I want a Pokepad starting hand. Do I want the second? I want the Tadbolt over 2 Ultra Balls. I think that's right. I want the Lily over an Ultra Ball. Do I want the Levincia over an Ultra Ball? Levincia is a stadium bump. It gets me a lot of energies back. It's kind of useless for my opponent for the most part. Ultra Ball allows me to get the things I need to get Levincia. Ultra Ball also makes me sacrifice shit. I think I'd rather have the Levincia here. I'd rather have the Pheasant, or not the Pheasant dipping the Ultra Ball here. I'd also rather have the Night Stretcher here over the Fez. I've put Fez back in the deck. I took it out for a long time. I put Fez back in the deck because I found sometimes I needed extra cards on a draw at the end of the game. And that's really important. So I'd rather take that over the chance. I'd rather take that and just accept the chance that it might start in my openings draw. But, excuse me, Night Stretcher is just too good to bring back mods, to bring back energy. Mostly the energy. So I think I'd take Night Stretcher here. I 100% would rather see an extra Kilowattrel than Pheasantipity. I also would rather see Buddy Poffin than Crispin in my opening hand, even though I really like Crispin. I think I'd rather have the Crispin over the Levincia, the second Levincia. These are two different ones. Fighting over Levincia. I think I'd rather have the Fighting. I'd rather have the Lightning. I'd rather have the Lightning. Still would rather have the Lightning. Lightning over Boss. I'd rather have the Lightning. This is situational, and this one's really tough because it's Lily's Determination. It's like the second one, and this is Boss. Assuming I'm set up, Boss is usually a good play to play in that mid-stage of the game. Lily also can be really good in that mid-stage of the game when I'm hunting for something. I think I'd rather take Lily here. I think I'd rather have a Boss instead of a 10th Lightning. I'm going to go with the 5th Lightning. Alright, the last Fighting Energy in my deck and the last Lightning Energy in my deck. Fighting is way more important because I only have so many of it. Lightning, I have a ton of it, so we're going to go Fighting. Air Balloon over the last Lightning Energy in my deck. Any day, I'm playing the last Lightning Energy in my deck. Air Balloon over Pokecatcher. Okay, that one's interesting. Is Gus better than moving my Pokemon around? I think moving my Pokemon around for free is way better. The reason being is that I can choose the right attacker for the situation, or I can pivot, like, into Belly Bolt to take a hit. Something like that. Soften up a target for me to take later. And that's why I think I'd rather, and then move Belly Bolt out if I need to. So I think that's why I'd rather have the air balloon there. Rather have the fighting over the lightning. Rather have the lightning over our third determination. Lily's determination 3 over red card. I think this is the same property as Judge. I'd rather take the Lily and red card my opponent, but I'd rather take the Lily first. Well, I'd play red card first, then play Lily, obviously, but I'd rather have the extra cards in hand and a fresh hand, maybe. Yeah, because if this is Lily 4, I would do red card over Lily. Red card over Judge. I think I'd rather take the red card. Judge is nice because I can refresh my hand to 4, but I'm also giving my opponent 4 cards. Red card is I can only use when we're at like the late stage of the game, but that also means that my opponent only has 3 cards. And whatever they just had in their hand is at the bottom of their deck. And I'd rather have that than maybe have them shuffle back into an important card. So I think I'll have red card over Judge. Judge over Lightning Energy, I'd rather have the Lightning Energy. Judge over Hero's Cape. I think the hand description is too important. I have thought about Hero's Cape, but I think I've thought more about Judge. A third energy retrieval over Hero's Cape. At that point, I'd need to have a third retrieval if I was using Hero's Cape. 4th, Lily's Determination over Hero's Cape. I think I could take the 4th Heroes. Or I could take the Heroes. I'd rather take Crispin here. Yeah. Team Rocket's Petrol for Prime Catcher. I'd rather take the Team Rocket's Petrol because it gives me more options, but the Prime Catcher is really important in this scenario. I think I'd rather take the Crispin here over Prime Catcher too. I would 100% take the Prime Catcher over Boss, though. Air Balloon over Boss's orders. I think I'd rather take the extra Air Balloon. Rather take the Lightning. Oh, Handheld Fan is just not ending up in this deck as far as I'm concerned. As I'm looking at this, there's no way the Handheld Fan makes sense anymore. Because I'd rather take the Boss's orders to kill something in the back than just disrupt my opponent. So I think that's the play here. This is the situation. I would rather have Handheld Fan than Sunfisk. So I think Handheld Fan is important. Ethan's Pichu over Belly Bolt. In an early game, I'd rather see the Pichu early on. Then I'd rather take the Belly Bolt. I'd also rather have the Raging Bolt. I'd rather take the Pokepad here. I'd rather have the Tadbolt here. Do I care about the Belly Bolt? Or do I care about the Max Rod? I care about the Belly Bolt here. I'd rather take the Max Rod over Retrieval, though. Because I get more energy value for it. Retrieval helps in the early game because you're only dropping like 2 or 3. But I'd rather have Max Rod at that point. If it's just straight value. Buddy Poffin over Energy Retrieval. I only play about 1 Buddy Poffin a game, maybe 2, so I think I'd rather take the Energy Retrieval. I'd rather take the Lightning Energy. I'd rather take the Buddy Poffin here. I think I'd rather take the Energy Retrieval. I'd rather take the Night Stretcher here. In this scenario, I think I'm taking the Ultra Ball over Pichu. As much as I love Pichu, when it's starting to get to this situational point, I want to kind of pick and choose. And maybe I don't need the Pichu because of a Dragapult or something like that. It's only got 30 HP, so it's a pivot mon at that point, which is great. But I have other pivot options most likely, so I think Ultra Ball's better here. I think the Tadbolt, though, is much weaker against the Pichu. I like having a second Pichu that I can set up for pivoting versus having a third Tadbolt that's just chilling. And I think I'd rather have the Pokepad here for kind of the same reason. Instead of having like a third Tadbolt on deck, I think I'd rather have a Pokepad to pick out Tadbolts, Pichus, Wattrels, Kilowattrels, things that I need for the deck. So I think that's the case here. I'd rather have the Wattrel over the Kilowattrel because I need the first. I need the Pokepad. And then I'd have the Wattrel here. If this is my second Tadbolt out, I think I'd rather have the Ultra Ball. I'd rather have the Raging Bolt. I'd rather have the Tadbolt. I'd rather have the Lily. I'd rather have the Lavencia. I'd rather have the Ultra Ball. I'd rather have the Night Stretcher. I think I'd rather have the Meowth here. Because that gets me Lily, that gets me Boss, that gets me Crispin, that gets me all my supporters. This is just a random draw. Here, however, I'd rather have the Kilowattrel. I'd rather have the Fez. How much do I value? I'd rather have... Lightning's so important, but I'd rather have the Buddy Poffin here. I'd rather have the Crispin here. I'd rather have the Fighting here. Energy. Lightning over Lily. I think I'd have the Lightning. Take the Lightning. I'll take the Lightning. I'll take the Lily here. Boss over Lavencia 2. I think I'd rather do the Boss. I think at this point I'd probably use the Boss to get something for the kill. Lavencia only gets me so much. So Boss, Lightning, Fighting, Lightning, Lavencia. Energy switch over Air Balloon. This is Air Balloon. Do I want the air? I want the Air Balloon over the Energy switch. Pokemon Catcher or Energy switch. I'd rather have the Energy switch here. Because I can't attack otherwise. I'd rather have Gust than Pokemon Draw. So Catcher actually wins this one. We're only going with the one here. Crispin over Fighting. Fighting over Petrel. Lightning over Petrel. I think at this point, at Lily's 3, I think I'm comfortable picking Petrel over Lily. Because at this point, I'm probably looking for more situational picks over... Like, I'm getting desperate if I have to refill my hand again. So I think that's Petrel here. I think I probably want the Crispin here, too. Prime Catcher over Lily. I think I'd rather have the Prime Catcher here, too. I'd rather have the Gust ability than Lily. Is this where I choose Lily? An Air Balloon? Yeah, I think this is where I choose, assuming that there's already an Air Balloon on the board, I think this is where I choose Lily. This is definitely where I choose red card. Lightning. Judge over Air Balloon. Do I take the hand? I just chose red card. This gets me more cards, or 4 cards, and disruption. I think I'd take the Judge here, too. Energy Retrieval over Air Balloon. I think I'd rather... I can live without the Air Balloon. I can't relive without my energy, so Energy Retrieval first. Am I putting Air Balloon or Hero's Cape on a Pokemon? That's really the question here. If I've got a Pokemon in the active, say it's Bellybolt, would I rather have Hero's Cape on it or Air Balloon? And I think I'd rather have the Air Balloon. I'd rather have the Lightning Energy. Do I want to boss something or give my Pokemon more health? The Gust will allow me to close out a game. The Hero's Cape might allow me to close out the game, might not. Hero's Cape over Handheld Fan any day. Lily's Determination over Held. I would actually take the Handheld Fan here. Like, the Lily's Determination is kind of low on this list. I play 4, so I guarantee I'll see one early game. But Handheld Fan is just way more disruptive to Dragapult and some of the other matchups. I think I'd rather take the Handheld Fan here. I'd rather take Lily here. Oh, which one I'm more excited about? I'm always more excited to see Pichu over Wattrel. I take the Wattrel here. I take Pokapad here. Kill Wattrel at Billy Bolt. Who am I always excited to see first? I think I'm more excited to see Wattrel than I am Billy Bolt. I'm more excited to see Billy Bolt here. More excited to see Raging Bolt here. Ultra Ball. Raging Bolt. I think I'm more excited to see the Tadbolt. No, I think I'm rather excited to see the Pokapad over the second Tadbolt. Tadbolt 1. It has to be Tadbolt 2 over Belly Bolt 2. Should have put an EX on that. Oh well. I'm always excited to see Lily here. I think I'm more excited for the Lavincia here. And I think I'm also excited more for the Ultra Ball. The Night Stretcher also beats it out. Belly Bolt will beat out Meowth. And Max Rod will beat out Meowth. Energy Retrieval will beat out Meowth. Because I almost didn't run Meowth in this deck. Lightning will. Buddy Poffin will. Yeah, Energy Retrieval 2 at this point would. Night Stretcher 2 with the... I think I'm more comfortable taking the Meowth here. Kilowattrel 2 over Ultra Ball 4. This is kind of when we're starting to get into the weeds. And this is also kind of becomes fodder. I think I'd rather take the Ultra Ball. I'd rather take the Ethan's Pichu. I'd rather take the Pokapad. I think I'd rather take the Kilowattrel now. Again, this is just more and more from normality than anything. I think I'd rather see the Tadbolt. I'd rather throw it in the discard pile than anything, which is maybe more of a discussion I need to have about Iowa's Belly Bolt. I'm going to do Fez here. Because I'd rather see the Fez over the third Belly Bolt or Tadbolt. And I almost would rather see the third Poffin. Because that's a guaranteed junk card over Tadbolt. I'd rather see the Tadbolt here. Do I want Billy Bolt over... Yeah, if I like the Tadbolt, but then I'd want the Billy Bolt here as well. Crispin over Buddy Poffin. I think I'd rather... Crispin's so important, but Buddy Poffin's so important too. I think I'd take the Buddy Poffin. Crispin 1 over Crispin 2. Fighting... Oh, you know what? Actually, I don't want the Fighting Energy. I want the Crispin here. That's way more important. Fighting Energy 1. Oh, you know what? We're going to slow down. Fighting Energy is way more important here than Lightning Energy because you only have so many of them in the deck. So Lightning Energy is actually the correct play, or Fighting Energy is the correct play here. Lightning Energy is the correct play here. Lightning Energy 2 is the correct play here. I would rather see Lightning Energy 3, Lightning Energy 4, Lightning Energy 8. Lily over to Petrel. I'd rather see the second Lily at this point. I almost would rather see the Petrel here, but I think the boss might be the... I'd rather see the boss. I don't need more than one Petrel. That's kind of late game stuff. So Lightning's probably more important. Fighting's more important here. Lightning's more important here. Petrel's more important here because I can get the Lavincia or I can get other things I need. I think the Lavincia is more important than the third Crispin. Is Crispin more important than Air Balloon? I mean, Crispin sets up Raging Bolt, but if I'm using a third Crispin for game, I'm in trouble. I think I'd rather take the Air Balloon here because I can switch and do all that stuff. And I think that's kind of the same way with Energy Switch. Because Crispin only can do it if I have 2 different types of energies. But what if I don't have 2 different types of energies? At least Energy Switch allows me to still set up a Pokemon. So I think I'd rather take the Energy Switch here. I almost would rather take the Capture, too. Or the the Gust option here as well. But setting up Raging Bolt's so important that I think Crispin in the late game might be better. Prime Catcher is always better than Pokemon Catcher because it's a guaranteed Gust. I think the third Lily to Termination is really important, but I also think Gust is way more important when you're starting to look at a third Lily's. You're really in trouble if you're playing a third Lily's, so I think Gust is actually more important. Oh, now do I think Canary is important? Canary will set up more cards. Allow me to set up the Belly Bolts, the Tad Bolts, the Pichus, the... Yeah, you know what? Canary's important scenario. I don't think a second one is, though. I think a third Lily's is. I also think a red card is way more important than Canary, too. A second Canary in this might have been a little overkill now I think about it. Lightning Energy. Do I want to Judge over a Canary? Yeah, I'd rather take the Hand Disruption and the cards over Canary, a second Canary, I think. And I think I'd rather get more energies than a second Canary. The question is Air Balloon more important at that point? And I think the setup might be more important than the Air Balloon. It's going to be funny if I watch this and, like I said earlier on, that like the Air Balloon was way more important than the setup. I'm always excited to see Ethan's Pichu. Always excited to see Wattrel. And in this case, I'd rather have the Buddy Buddy Poffin. And I think for early game setup, I'd rather have the Pokepad here. I'd rather have the Kilowattrel here. I'd rather have the Belly Bolt here. I'd rather have the Raging Bull here. I'd rather have the Crispin here. Do I want Crispin 2 over Ultra Ball? No, I think Ultra Ball's the better play. I think Raging Bolt's always got to be the better play here. And I think this is the line. This Crispin 2, a second Crispin over a second Pokepad. I think this is the line here. You have to set up Raging Bolt, so it has to be Crispin. Fighting is really important. Fighting is really important. Lightning is really important. Lightning is really important. Lightning is really important. It's really important. I'd rather have the Pokepad here. I'd rather have the Tadbolt here. I'd rather have the second Tadbolt here. I'd rather have Lily here. I'd rather have a Levincia here, to be quite honest. I think I'd rather have the Ultra Ball here. I'd rather have the Night Stretcher here. I'd rather have the Belly Bolt here. I definitely would have used the Max Rod by now. And an Energy Retrieval. The 7th energy is better than the 8th energy, 100%. Buddy Buddy Poffin. I would have done a second Buddy Buddy Poffin. I might have used a second Energy Retrieval by now. And a Night Stretcher. Lightning is more important than Meowth, though. And I think the Lily is more important than the Meowth. Boss, I think, is more important than Meowth. Lightning is more important than Meowth. Fighting is most certainly more important than Meowth. Meowth is probably better than my 10th Lightning. the last Lightning in the deck, Meowth is more important than. I think also Lightning is more important than this Ultra Ball. Because I've talked about getting rid of this Ultra Ball. I also think Patrol is more important than this Ultra Ball. I think Levincia is more important than this Ultra Ball. The Air Balloon is definitely. The Energy Switch is definitely. Ooh, Crispin over Ultra Ball. Would I get rid of the Crispin to get something? No, I'd take the Crispin. Would I pitch the Prime Catcher to get something? No, I'd keep the Prime Catcher. Would I pitch the Pokemon Catcher to get something? No, I'd keep the Pokemon Catcher. I think I'd keep the Ultra Ball here over Canary. I think I've just decided in general, and the only reason why Canary has not ended up in the deck is because I think being able to get Fez, Raging Bolt, Meowth is just way more important. Well, Canary gets half my deck. I think Canary actually is the play. I also think Lily is more important than my 4th Ultra Ball. Do I think red card is more important than my 4th Ultra Ball? Yeah, I think it is. That was actually kind of where I was thinking. Lightning. Judge over Ultra Ball. I think I'd pitch the Judge. Ethan's Pichu's way more important. I might Judge over a Pokepad. I would probably Judge over a Pokepad. Energy Retrieval's too important. Canari's way more important. I mean, Pokepad's way more important. I think the Wattrel's way more important than the Canary. The Fez is more important than the Canary. Would I remove a 3rd Buddy Poffin for Canary? Yeah, I would. I would remove the Buddy Poffins for Canary. I think the Buddy Poffin... No, the Air Balloon's more important than Buddy Poffin. Lightning's more important than Buddy Poffin. This 3rd Buddy Poffin might be more important than the Gust from Boss, though. Boss is way more important than the Tadpole. The Hero's Cape's gonna get me out of situation. The 3rd Tadbulb is... I think the 3rd Tadbulb is actually the better play here. The 3rd Bellyball's the better play here. The Ultra Ball's the better play. Yeah. That... hold on. Let's go back. Because I'm actually thinking about this for a second. Would I be willing to pitch the Hero's Cape for a Pokemon? Like a Meowth or something like that. And I think the answer is yes. Because you get only like 100 more HP, I think. And when I've had Raging Bolts at... Well, it would make it 340, which makes it difficult to kill. Dragapult can't kill that. However, would I be set up to make it kill is the question. You know what? I think the Hero's Cape might actually be more important than the Ultra Ball. Ultra Ball over Handheld Fan, I think... The Handheld Fan is really disruptive and ruins a lot of things. Ultra Ball allows me to set up. I think if I'm getting down in the game and I'm using my 3rd Ultra Ball, that does become a problem too. I think I might take the Handheld Fan here. I 100% exclusively will use the Lily over the Ultra Ball here. Ultra Ball over Stunfisk. That probably says more about Stunfisk, because I take the Wattrel here too. Do I want the Energy Switch over Stunfisk? Maybe. Yeah, because I could Energy Switch onto Raging Bolt again. Assuming I don't have any more Crispin. Stunfisk is disruptive, though. And allows me to do more damage. I think I'd take the Stunfisk. Okay! And that was it. That was the list. So let us look at this. Taking a water break first, because it has been an hour recording. We're taking a water break. Okay. First I'm going to save this. File. Okay. I'm probably actually going to save this as CSV file or copy this somewhere. But I did want to save this to the account anyhow. So we're going to look at this. This seems about right in terms of like my first ranked card being Pichu. Because I am so excited to see Pichu when I open with it. And it's like a priority. There's a couple priorities right off the bat. Pichu, Wattrel. Those are my 2 priorities. I'm surprised Tadpole's not in here. There's Tadpole right there. That's funny. But the Buddy Poffin would get me my Tadpole. The Pokepad would get me my Tadpole. So those priorities are still kind of there. Belly Bolt over Raging Bolt makes sense. Like I said before, Belly Bolt enables the deck. Raging Bolt's just a killer. Crispin's important. Ultra Ball's important. My second Raging Bolt is obviously important. My second Crispin is important. And then we have a stash of energies here, which also makes sense because energies are super important for this deck. And you could see the early setup. Like, this is actually kind of what I'd want for my early turn. I'd want a Pichu in it to start. I'd like to set up a Wattrel, Buddy Buddy Puffin, for a Tadpole or two, probably two, Pokepad for a Kilowattrel. Hope I have a Belly Bolt or a Raging Bolt set up. Next turn, Crispin, Ultra Ball to fill in the other places. So maybe another Belly Bolt somewhere, and this is the play. This is the line right here. So actually, this was pretty accurate. And then using the energies with the Crispin to get Raging Bolt going. So this is pretty accurate. Okay, you know, if I can't early game get a Lilies, that's awesome. You know, Tadbolt, yep. So let's see here. Max Rod is my highest ace spec here at 26. That makes sense. I really like Max Rod in this deck. I have a hard time thinking about moving anything else. Energy Retrieval, Lightning, Buddy Buddy Poffin. The second, that we do have two in the deck, so that kind of makes sense. Boss's Orders ended up so far down in comparison. 34. That's interesting. That's solid and stable, but also I'm kind of surprised. I love how Lightning Energy 8 ended up over Lightning Energy 5. Same thing, 7. Get rid of that 5th Lightning Energy. The 8th and the 7th are way more important. Meowth ending at 34 is kind of a surprise for me, but it also is just so useful being able to get anything else out of the deck. That kind of makes sense. The Petrol, the Levincia, the Air Balloon. So the first Air Balloon comes up at 40. That also kind of makes sense. Energy Switch being pretty far down makes sense. So, interesting. Prime Catcher is disqualified if Max Rod is in this deck, which kind of pushes everything up. But Pokemon Catcher, Canary all show up in the deck. In the actual legit deck list. Same thing with Red Card. Judge, very interesting. Judge is in there. Fez, the second Canary makes the deck list. So let's see here. What didn't make the deck list? The third Buddy Buddy Poffin then it just barely made the deck list. Same thing with the Boss's Orders because Prime Catcher gets disqualified at that point. So the third Belly Bolt and Tadbolt don't make the deck list. They would basically be in the side box along with Pokemon Catcher at that point. I think if I was to put Pokemon Catcher or Prime Catcher in the deck, I'd either take out Pokemon Catcher or I'd take out the boss. So that's actually probably pretty accurate. I'd have to put in another energy retrieval though. Where's the third energy retrieval? The third energy retrieval actually makes the deck list. Does Levincia make the deck list? The second one does. Same thing with the first one, and then Max Rod. So, yeah, so I could take out the Prime Catcher and put a boss in, or I could just take out Max Rod and put in Prime Catcher. But that makes sense. Okay. So what didn't make the list? So we got Tadbolt. The Tadbolt and the Belly Bolt don't make the list, which actually, as I started this process, I thought maybe I should try taking them out of the deck and only running 2 and give myself more space to play other cards. Hero's Cape didn't make the deck list. I'm actually surprised it's not farther down in the list because I really did seem pretty low on it. But I guess it won out. Handheld Fan also, I'm a little surprised, is made higher up on the deck list because I really chose more things over Handheld Fan. Alright, so the third Ultra Ball is here, but not the fourth. So I'd probably take out an Ultra Ball here and a Lily. So I feel like the 4th Lily and the 4th Ultra Ball aren't as needed. They're probably more consistency cards than anything, but that's interesting. The second Wattrel doesn't make this list, which I can't have a second Kilowattrel if I only have one Wattrel in the deck. So this is non-negotiable. I'd have to find it somewhere, but I'd probably stuff that in the Canary slot. Well, 2 Canaries make it in here. I could just take out one of the Canaries, or maybe I could fit it in somewhere. But yeah, so that didn't make it. Stunfisk did not make the list, as well as the Energy Retrieval and a 4th Buddy Poppin'. So, I'm not gonna lie to you, this deck list that kind of came up here is actually pretty interesting. Minus the Prime Catcher, I could see this deck list actually working. So stay tuned. I might actually put that together. I'm gonna give this a shot and see how it looks and report back further, because we are almost at an hour, and well, we're an hour and 15 right now. Well, a little over that. So yeah, we'll call it a night here, and I'm gonna try this out and see if the deck list is better or not. Chef Husky kind of liked to think that these cards down here were more of your like this set right here plus the Prime Catcher would be more of your sideboard if you approach Pokemon like that, seeing someone that you're normally playing against like come into your local meta and you're like, oh, I need Prime Catcher because I'm seeing that they're playing a lot of whatever, let's say Dragapult. Okay, maybe I need to slot in the handheld fan over something else kind of thing. And it kind of gives you an idea of what you're looking at. So treating these cards as a sideboard might be actually not a bad idea when I start practicing for Baltimore or Louisville. Like, that would be how I'd approach this, is how do I think the meta is going to shape up and slip those cards in appropriately. And then decide the deck list the night before as this is more appropriate than this. So yeah, no, this is actually a really good option. So check out pubmeeple.com for their ranking engine. If you want to save your checklist, I did. You're gonna have to create an account, but it was super easy. And I really think that was actually a pretty good activity in analyzing every card in my deck. So thank you all for watching today. I'm going to leave a link below to not only this ranking site, but also Chef Husky's channel. I encourage you to go watch his videos and, give him some love, because he works on some great content. And thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye. Oh, before I go, sneaking back in here. Again, if you have suggestions for deck list items, other cards to try in a deck, or anything like that, for Venusaur, Mega Venusaur, or Raging Bolt, please leave them in the comments below. We are doing a video of your suggestions. So, I am very interested to see what you guys are cooking up. Have a good night. Bye. Thanks for watching the video. If you like this video, please subscribe and like and hype and do all the fun stuff. Stick around, because there's definitely more coming to the channel. If you like Pokemon content, Let's Play content, and World of Warcraft content, feel free to stick around and subscribe. There is a video that YouTube thinks is the best next watch for you, and here at the below is the playlist to the video you just watched. Maybe you like some more content kind of like that. Thanks for watching. Bye.